whereas Wigan show great unity and desire in what they did last week. 32-14 in favour of my boys.
Fantastic.
Don't do that with your neck. It really, really bothers me. It makes me feel like my neck's going to fall off.
I won't be able to click it for another few minutes, but if it helps, it makes me feel a lot better.
Right, okay.
Okay, Hull FC take on Warrington then to decide where the league leaders' shield will be going. They'll have the chopper up, I guess, Sky, or they'll just maybe have it out of the ground. The hubcap, I should say. Hull FC, I would have liked to have seen them play better against Wakefield, but a win's a win, I guess. And Warrington are going to be smarting from the way they capitulated against 12 men. So I'm finding it tricky to pick a winner, but I'm going to go with, based on my own background as much as anything else, Hull FC to win 22 points to 18, but it could just as easily go in Warrington's favour. I think either way, there's a good match in the offing here, provided both teams turn up. We should get another cracking game. What do you think, Mark?
I think it's going to be Warrington bouncing back. I don't really buy into this whole mental fragility idea that Warrington will be carrying like mental scars on this one. I don't think they lost the cup final through any fault of theirs.
No.
So I don't think that should weigh on the mind too much. And what happened on Friday night was one of those one-offs, one of those perfect storms of a team just being amazing.
Are they missing Curry, Ben, because he's very important to them?
Well, you'd suspect so.
You would think they would be, don't you?
We don't know the teams obviously yet, but you would suspect so. But I don't feel like they certainly don't have an able deputy, with Westwood also injured, and like Philbin's capable of having a good game against a weak team, but against a strong team, does he really find himself in the field in the right place and that sort of stuff?
Is there an argument to bring young King in from the centres and put him in the second row?
No, the argument would be, I think, to play Westerman in the second row and start someone like the other King at loose forward. Would be the conversation if we were having it. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I just think Warrington will find a way here. I think there's the way they'll play down the middle of the pitch. If Darryl Clark plays anything like what he played last week and in the first half of the cup final, actually, I think they can open up a lead here, and then some sensible play, and they can kick their way through that game. We'll see. I don't think Hull FC are the greatest, even though they've won from behind quite a lot. I think the game isn't necessarily geared up too much to coming back from 2 or 3 scores down. So if Warrington can start fast, I think they can just hold on. Okay. Maybe with like a late penalty to ice it. I'm going to go 26-24.
Okay. Castleford and Widnes then. Final game of the round. This was the easiest one to pick.
28-10 Cass.
Yeah, dead easy to pick for me. 36-8. I've gone for a bigger win. I think Widnes are done now, and Cass might score a lot of points. So more for Denny Solomona to pad out his record with, I would suggest. But of course, if you're out and about this weekend and want to keep on the top of things, our friends at SL Clubs have got you covered. They'll be tweeting about all the games, so give them a follow and don't miss a trick thanks to them. Into the qualifiers then, Mark. Leeds take on Lee. The RFL have had a trophy made so that if Leeds win and finish top of the pile, they get at least to lift some silverware. I wonder if they'd have done that if Leeds weren't in the middle eights, but that's a conversation for another day. But I do, in fact, I fancy Leeds to win this one. I think they've got a better team than Lee, so let's see how they do. What do you reckon?
I'm going to tip Leeds. I think they'll get bang up for this one to sort of prove a point, maybe, almost. So I'd say Leeds in a close one. But if Leeds win, they win the trophy. But if Lee win, obviously they win the trophy.
There's no way that would have been something that the RFL would have done. And you can call me out on this, and Leeds fans probably will do. But I don't think for a second that this is something that would have been coming out if it hadn't been for Leeds.
It's there now.
Being in the late, so there you go. You get some silverware, lads. Bravo.
Isn't it a trophy that the two clubs will play for
if that's the
forevermore.
case,
I think it's more a club thing than a.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then I'm misinformed, then I take it all back.
Yeah.
But if it's for just finishing top of the middle eights, then
I don't think that's what it is. I think it's like a
Leeds versus Lee,
and then we're like, oh well, we'll play for this now, sort of thing. You know, like the Steve Prescott.
Okay.
I think that's more what it's about.
I'm certain some of our more staunch Leeds fans will put me in my place on that one and clear that up for us. So apologies in advance if that's the case. Hull KR versus Huddersfield then in the £1 million game. The £1 million game. Because the loser of this will be in the £1 million game.
Yeah.
So it's the preliminary.
Yeah.
I'm going for Huddersfield, Mark. It's a big result for the Rick Stones boys over Leeds, and I fancy them to take it over to East Hull and force KR into the £1 million match, where they will beat Salford at home.
I go one way or the other on this one, and I find it hard to tip. I'm just going to edge home advantage, but that. I mean, Campesi's back, isn't he? And
true, that does help them a lot.
That's a guiding figure for the Hull KR side, which is good for them. And I do think they've had a couple of decent performances in the forwards of late.
Yeah.
Which also could help. I can't be convinced by Huddersfield all year.
Well, neither of them are convincing. That's why they're in the middle eights, isn't it? So
that's why I'm going home advantage.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. London.
No, you're not. You've gone Huddersfield.
No, I'm with you on the next one. So I'm looking ahead. I'm not with you on that one. I'm so tired. Right. Yeah, Huddersfield are going to win. What are you on about? London take on Fev down in Ealing at the Trailfinders Stadium. London for me, this.
I think it'd be pretty London-y to lose it, but...
It would be very London-y, wouldn't it?
But
especially if Batley beat Salford.
I feel that Hendo's got them working a bit differently, and I'm going to back the London boys, but I don't think it'll be quite enough.
So London will beat Featherstone, and they'll be relying on Batley to... Of course, if London put a cricket score on Featherstone and Batley keep it close, that might be enough. They've got a lot of points to overhaul, though, so it's not necessarily something you want to rely on. So London beat Featherstone, and they need Batley to beat Salford. Can you see a way for Batley to beat Salford at the Biscuit Stadium, run up the hill with everything at stake? Come on, John Keir's got to be rubbing his hands at the thought of this one, hasn't he?
He has, but I think there's more. There's just too much at stake for Salford to bottle it again, almost. I know that kind of is a contradiction in a way.
Yeah.
But I just think there's...
The pressure continues to build.
They'll get it right. They'll get it right.
Yeah, they probably will. I'm tipping Salford. I'd like Batley to beat them, but I'm tipping Salford.
I'd like Salford to win the next 2 games and stay up, personally.
Who do you want to see down, then?
Honestly, even though it's not the way I picked it, the team that could go down and I think would be the least affected by it would be Hull KR, because they've got that fan base. They've got facilities in place that don't necessarily require them to spend more money on them now, and they've got a youth system where they might benefit off the back of another side in a way, because the FC won't want to let that slip, even if Hull KR maybe can't contribute as much to the funding of the academy.
Actually, that makes a good point. For the greater good of Rugby League, it's probably better if Salford do stay up, isn't it?
And I want, like I said last week, whoever goes down to be a sustainable entity as a full-time team,
and you suspect that Salford won't be that
a strong compare in a middle eights next year. That could be hopefully it's exciting this year with a resurgent Bulls, a renewed London, to add with the 4 Super League sides and whoever goes down. Whereas with Salford, I don't want them to fall apart. I have a soft spot for Salford. I'm not really sure why. I used to really love going to away games at the Willows, and it was, I think, maybe even my first ever away game that I went to was at the Willows.
Right.
Not a final or a game at Central Park or the DW, JGB, whatever it was. Was at the Willows as well, come to think of it.
Right. Oh, excuse me, yawning all over the podcast.
So I'd want Salford to stay up.
There you go then. Okay, into the Championship Shield then. We've got 2 games of the week because it's the semi-finals. Bradford take on Dewsbury and Halifax play Sheffield. What say ye, Mr. Illingworth?
Bradford Halifax.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. League One, Super 8, game of the week. Toulouse versus York and Barrow versus Doncaster. What are you tipping here?
Toulouse and Doncaster.
I'm tipping York and Barrow. Barrow more reasonably so, I would suggest, but York, because what a story that would be. From 2 points of view, Toulouse have dominated all season and then crumble at the last hurdle. And York, who very nearly crumbled halfway through the season, find themselves with an opportunity to get themselves promoted. That would be a fabulous story. So that's why I'm tipping them. Not because I think they'll win, but because I'd like them to.
I think Barrow have had a tough run in, which has got them maybe battle hardened, but I think Doncaster have been playing the slightly better rugby of the two sides in the eights. So that's why I'm going Doncaster to win on the road. Toulouse, I just think it's almost like I can't pick against them, even though it would be a remarkable story.
Mm-hmm. Into the NRL.
And it would make League One very exciting next year with the two expansion sides in there, Toulouse and Toronto. But then again, I suppose it might take away some of the excitement for the rest of the league, and everyone might end up in Dewsbury.
Everyone's got a Dewsbury this year, Mark.
Yeah.
It's the place to be.
Yeah. Whereas if Toulouse go up, then what that does is gives you that eighth team for that Dream 8 we were just talking about.
Well, there you go. Okay, into the NRL then. Sharks take on the Cowboys on Friday and the Storm play the Raiders on Saturday. I'm going to pick my Sharkies to beat the Cowboys, but it's going to be a big ask. And I'm going to go with the Melbourne Storm because they've just been, not by far and away, but by some distance, they've been the best team.
I would love the Raiders to beat them with their freewheeling attacking style. With our English players in that side, but I just think the Storm just tire teams, wear them down, and they have got some great players to do that with too. Let's not forget that. And then it's the Cowboys for me. I think, like we talked about before, if you've got the best player in the world in your team, you've got an advantage in these sorts of games.
You definitely
have got that.
Fair enough. Okay, right. That is your Super League pod for the week. All that remains for us to do now is to wrap up the show. Okay, wrapping up the show, Mark, 118 episodes of the Super League pod. We're getting towards the end of the season as well. We're going to need to have a conversation about what we're going to be doing over the internationals as well, aren't we? That's perhaps not for now, but
2 or 3 shows.
Like we did last season. Yeah.
Maybe like rolling a... Well, we'll be doing, obviously, the grand final, then we'll give it 2 weeks. We'll have the Sloppies and season review.
Yeah.
Then we'll probably do one every
2 weeks during the Four Nations.
Maybe 3 shows, we'll see.
It's getting to that end though. 3 years of the Super League pod. Why am I so tired?
Because it's fucking late.
It's getting on a bit, isn't it? Right, SLP recommends this week, Mark. Do you have anything for us?
No, I'm in the middle of working on a few.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Well, I've got a book that I'm really enjoying, but I want to see how it ends before I recommend it to everybody, because if it falls to pieces then I'm going to look a prick.
I'm not...
I know people hang on every word for our recommendations, but I do have one.
Okay.
Cookie dough Kit Kats.
Okay.
I had one at the weekend and I'm struggling to think of a way to put this delicately. I arrived in my pants over how good it tasted.
How's it work?
It's a Kit Kat.
Yeah.
With some of the Kit Kat biscuit within it.
Yeah.
And then in between all that Kit Kat and biscuity goodness is cookie dough. It was just a taste. It was amazing.
I don't get this cookie dough situation.
I thought this might be something that you brought up.
Because it's like, cookie dough is raw.
It's like cake.
So that's not really cookie dough, is it?
Right, it's like heavy cake.
But it's not cookie dough is raw, uncooked cookies.
Yes.
So when you get that ice cream from Ben & Jerry's, it's not got cookie dough in it, has it? It's got something that resembles it.
Very remarkably similar to it. I'm certain there will be certain, standards of homogenisation or whatever that it has to pass. Yes, but essentially, its texture and flavour is
raw
texture and flavour. Well, if there's not got raw egg in it,
cookie dough inside some.
Why not? If it's just milk and flour and sugar.
Would it work? I don't know. Anyway, it's probably
what it's made of is of little importance. What it tastes of is very important. As with most things in my life, it's not so much the substance, it's the style that I go for. And if you've seen the adverts and fancy trying a Kit Kat, a cookie dough Kit Kat, I can heartily recommend it. It was great, just out of the fridge,